everyone. Welcome to Trail Talk. Am I fuzzy? Was I up close and personal there for a minute? We were focused on one of Hollis Howard's favorite pieces that's behind us now, but we'll show it to you again here in just a little bit. Welcome to Trail Talk. We are on location again today. We are at the Chisholm Trail Arts Council in Duncan, Oklahoma. And this is Hollis Howard, and he's the artist. What do you call this?
Featured artist.
The featured artist. Thank you. I'm talking to Darcy, who is the director of the Arts Council. And so Mr. Howard is the featured artist here through the end of February, and he has a lot of great pieces here. If you haven't had a chance to come and see them, then you should, you're going to want to try to make some time for that. What are the hours that you guys are open, Darcy?
The Chisholm Trail Arts Council, we're open Monday through Friday, typically 9:30 to around 4 o'clock. If you want to give us a call ahead just to confirm, because I'm a one-man staff, our phone number is 580-252-4160.
Okay, we'll get that phone number in the comments section for the Facebook and the hours and everything for the Arts Council. So you guys can find that whenever you're watching, if you want to kind of do that. So enough of me chattering on. Welcome to Trail Talk.
Well, thank you.
We are so glad that you could join us today and just talk to us a little bit about your life experiences and your art. And so tell me, a young fellow like yourself, you're welcome. How long have you I'll ask first, when did you know that art was your thing?
You know, growing up, all through high school and everything, I didn't do anything in art, and went to Cameron for a couple of years, and decided I needed to go back to school after I'd been out working for a good while, and enrolled in art. And why? I don't know if there's a good Lord that had a hand in it or what, but decided I'd try it. You know, and I told the teacher, I said, I don't know if I can do anything about it. Never tried it before, and just loved it. It fit me like a glove, and loved working in it. Loved doing all of the work in college, the academic work, and so on. I really enjoyed all of that. And after I graduated with a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts,
Okay.
decided to go to school down in Mexico. And we went down to the Instituto Allende in San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, Mexico. And it spent a school year there. I had taken some advanced classes, and so I got it down to where I could finish in a year, even with my thesis. And so we had a great time down there. The pace of life in Mexico is really something. We had siesta every day, you know. I did good in that.
Excelled in siesta.
Yeah. So when I came back from there, I knew I wanted to do art for the rest of my life, you know, and that was my career in teaching. I loved it. It was a debate where I would be painting all the time and making a living at it, which I did for about 7 years. And in the teaching, I got a chance to go to work at USAO, up here at Chickasha, the university, and went to work there. And that teaching, the job it just fit me. You know, I loved it because my teachers, I could see how much they loved it.
Right.
You know, and they were right there with us, break room and everything, and having fun, you know, and in the class, I just really enjoyed. And it spent 26 years doing that and painting on the side as well. And so it was really good. It's funny, when I first decided to start doing art shows. And I
Mhm.
went art shows everywhere,
Mhm.
all over the United States.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And it just really, I loved getting out and going and shows. It's a young man's game. It worked you to death, you know.
Right.
Paint all week and go all weekend and doing art shows and so on. But I went 2 years without selling anything and without winning anything.
Wow.
I mean,
That must
it
have
took
been,
a sacrifice, you know.
and it must have been a little bit discouraging for you to experience that. How did you keep yourself up and going for 2 years?
I don't know. I'm going to Sunday school class.
Mhm.
My Sunday school teacher, he said, just turn it all over to God.
Mhm.
You know, everything. Give him all your brushes, give him everything you've got. So, okay, I'll try, you know. And I did. And because I had always said that whenever I would say my prayers, I would say, God, you take care of my family
Mhm.
and I'll take care of the art. That was stupid. So I decided, well, he will just, you know, take it all.
Right.
I
Right.
just gave it to him.
Right.
And that weekend, when I went to a show, I won Best in Show. Whoa, hey, this is cool.
Right. Right.
So I didn't really say anything to anybody. I just enjoyed the moment, you know.
Right.
And the next weekend, went to Best in Show and started selling some. And so it just went from there. And, you know, you have to get out and do everything you can out in the public.
Right.
That's your customers.
Mhm.
You know, if you don't keep track of your customers and go to all these shows, then you're not gonna, nobody's gonna know you.
Mhm.
You know, so I did everything possible. I do interviews, I do, you know, teach workshops on the side, go for weekends and just, you know, very, very active
Right.
in art when I was painting full time. And it was amazing, the change that it made and the comfort about this is right, this is what I do.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I spent the 26 years teaching. I taught drawing. We teach drawing for a full year before the kids could ever touch color. It was painting was a totally different thing.
Right.
And then we go into, I taught oil painting class, and then I taught watercolor class. And also I needed some extra hours. So I taught jewelry class as well.
Oh.
I'm not a jeweler. I know how the process. And so I was, you know, got elected to the job. You know? But I enjoyed it, you know, that we cast a lot of silver and did lots of different processes in that, and that was fun. But the painting and the teaching were the main thing. And I really, really loved it. That the job was just me.
Right.
You know?
So when you were going to school, so you said you never did anything in art. Were you like a doodler? Did you draw little things as a
Not a
kid or
thing.
anything? Really?
I couldn't even spell art.
You've come a long way, baby.
That's what I tell people.
Well, so was it the same process for you? Like, did you have to spend 1 year
Yes.
drawing and then
Yeah.
you went to?
Yeah. All the years that the time is taken up, other than the academics that everybody has to take.
Right.
You know. I didn't enjoy those, a lot of them as much. You know, art was my thing. You know?
Yes. Yes.
And you know, down in Mexico, the main thing was they didn't care about realistic art. You know, you had to do expressionism or impressionism or abstraction, so many different things. So I played the game.
Right.
You know,
Right.
those paintings are under the bed. But I got through. I got my thesis done and everything in one year, and we came back, and that's when I started painting, going to art shows.
So that year though, where you were required to paint things that you weren't really feeling. Did that kind of cement for you what your subject matter was going to be for the rest of your career?
Yeah, it did. It showed me that this isn't the way that you need to go, you know. And I think a lot of it depends on who you're talking to, who's your audience, who, you know, that fits with you. You know,
Right.
I'm just a down to earth, and I like to talk to the people that can understand my kind of art. You know?
Right.
And so I didn't have a problem with the other. I learned from it. There were some pretty good instructors down there, and I was able to get extra credit. I helped teach a jewelry class while I was down there, so they gave me double credit for that, and they even paid my tuition.
Boy, you couldn't beat that deal.
No, that was quite a deal.
How did you? Why did you select that school? What made you go?
One of my teachers, Clark Bailey, had gone to school down there. Now, I don't know how he got into it, but he was telling us about it. And so here we go.
Did you have to apply or to be accepted into their program? Okay.
Yeah. And a friend of mine graduated a semester after I did, and he came down there as well. And we had a great time down there in the pace of life. We do all kinds of fun stuff. We go out. We got to go to Acapulco one weekend, and you know, it was just a great time.
Well, you got to take advantage of where you are, man.
But yeah, some of the interesting things that they did down there was just what you learn and going out on trips with them. We went one weekend to a lake called Pátzcuaro, and they had these butterfly fish nets that they would just, and they're just gorgeous, you know, and it catch these little fish about this long, and they would go out on the edge of the highway and lay them out to dry, and you bought them from them. Put it in a little cone, like a snow cone, you know, fill it up with fish, put hot sauce on it,
and eat it.
I didn't eat it.
You watched other people do that.
I've seen sardines before and tried to eat some of those, and like, no way.
That's great. So, were you born and raised in Fletcher?
Yes.
Okay, born and raised in Fletcher, Oklahoma, just down the road from Surreal, where I was born and raised. And so then you moved away from there for a while? Yes,
I taught a year at Sterling.
Okay.
I didn't have a teaching certificate. And if you're going to teach in college, you don't need a teaching certificate. And so he put me on kind of part-time. I taught grades from first grade to 12th.
Wow.
It's really weird going to the seniors and go down to the first grade.
And teach them how to use scissors or hold something in their hand.
I couldn't handle the little guys down there, you know. I went into the first grade class and I had taught them everything I knew in 15 minutes. I don't know how to get down there. I don't know what to say. So I decided I better stay with the older ones.
Right. Well, you know, there's another lesson learned in life right there.
And I enjoyed teaching the adults, really did. And there would be older students come in and we'd have a lot of fun, you know. And you know who you can joke around with and give a hard time to. They know how to take it, you know.
Yes.
And I'd go, one of them be drawing, you know, older student, and she'd be drawing a self portrait of a mirror up there, you know. I come over and look, and who are you drawing? Really give them a hard time. You know? We had a lot of fun out of it.
That's great. So let's kind of talk about your art. Let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about we're going to show you guys several pieces that he has and several different types of media. But before we do that, what's your favorite media?
I think watercolor is what I enjoy. I enjoy the challenge of watercolor. It's unforgiving. You can't change it. maybe to a small degree, but when it's down there, it's down there.
Mhm.
And you use the white of the paper as your white. You don't use any white when you're doing a purist watercolor. Excuse me a second.
Sure.
And so that's a challenge. I like a challenge, and I used to tell my students in watercolor, I said, if you want to learn one way how to do watercolor is play chess, because you got to be thinking ahead. You've got to plan down the road, just like you would in chess. You know, what's my next move?
Right.
Because if you can't see down the road where you're trying to get to, then, you know, if you just stop everything, then you try to think about the next move. No, you got to know where you're going to with it.
Interesting.
And the more mature you get in it, you get where you can see the finished piece. You see the whole thing all the way through.
Right.
And that's really a fun way to do it. Now, you never do a perfect painting. And they're never finished, but what?
I've talked to several artists who are always, I want to go back and do some more to this one and this. Yeah.
But you have to, you know, call it quits on it. And there's reasons for that. Watercolor, it's such a challenge, you know, like I said, you can't fix it. And so you better know, you know, even your last moves before you get to them, because it's a setup for the next move.
Right.
And it's really, I love the challenge, really do. And it's hard, it's tough. You work your rear off, you know. And so, but I enjoy watercolor. I enjoy oils too. I do a lot of oils, and I enjoy painting out on location. If I had my choice, that's where I would paint, you know, all the time. But you know, weather and everything like that, you had to have a studio, and you have to, you know. And I did lots and lots of watercolor portraits of people, commissions, you know, paint my kid, you know. And so I would have to go and take a whole bunch of photographs of the kid, because you can't make a kid, you know, sit still. You have to kill them to do that. And the parents,
that's kind of ruins the game, man. So
parents really don't like
they
that.
really frown on that.
So, you know, you do have to work from watercolors, but I mean, from photographs.
Right.
But you have to know what a photograph does. A camera is the biggest liar there is, because everything away from the center is out of focus. You look through a, you know, Coke bottle thing, and it's distorted as it goes away from the center. So if you don't know how to fix it, what it's doing to you, you're just going to be copying, you know, and not anything that I call what needs to be an art.
Right.
You know, when you use a photograph like that, because the perspective's distorted, the color's distorted, and just the light itself, it doesn't pick up that light that you see, that an artist sees when he's looking at the subject.
Right.
And it's just really, you know, you're seeing it from two eyes. And you paint a portrait, and you'll have a tendency to make it too wide, because one eye is seeing the side of the face, the other eye is seeing it at a different angle. And so you have to know how to move that in to get the head correctly. Right. You know? And so it's a real challenge to work with photographs if you want to really make it look like art.
I am so taken with the way you explain things. And to me, it's very obvious that you have been a teacher. I think maybe being an artist and being a teacher are pretty equal in you, because you are just really explaining everything so well for me to understand some of these challenges. Let's start looking at some of your art. And while Scott, we're just going to stay right here, and my cameraman Scott is going to focus on one of your pieces. While he's doing that, I want to say hi to Stefan. Well, glad to see you're with us today, Stefan. And also I want you guys to know that Hollis and I are not being careless about COVID. I have had it and I'm over it. He's had hit one shot, close to getting a second shot. So we felt like we were safe. Make sure you guys know that we're good as far as all that goes. Okay, so let's start with that picture there. With tell us about that. It seems a very patriotic. It's called America.
Yeah, one of my grandsons had this trophy of this eagle, and I thought, well, that's making a statement of patriotism, and so I didn't know all of it, and it was fun. There's things in it I would do a little different, if I'm doing it again, of course.
Every artist says that. Every artist, everyone.
So that was a fun painting. What I liked the most was the wrinkles
in the flag.
And the flag drove me crazy, but
right. And the nice reflection that you have too on the brass plate on the front. I mean, that's really good. A great detail on that. Very nice.
Right.
Okay, and so then, and that is an oil.
Yes.
That is an oil. So when you've kind of talked about watercolor, what's the challenge on the oil painting? Or is it just a lot easier?
It's not necessarily easier. It's just a totally different set of mindset. You have this freedom. But one thing that happens in oil, if you overwork it and it loses its freshness, that's what you have to try to protect. You got to protect the thing from yourself. Because you'll want to keep working it and keep working it, and it loses that first impression, that first, it just looks overdone and painted too much. Want to get there as quick as you can and keep off of it, don't go back and fix.
Right. Now, one is like you work light to dark and one is you go dark to light. Is that?
Yes. In oil painting, you go from dark to light. You end up with your lights.
Okay.
Is the easiest. That I found that works the best. And in watercolor, you go from light to dark.
Okay. Because the white is your light.
Right.
Okay.
You have to protect the whites in watercolor from yourself. Because you're going to mess it up.
His things do not look like he messed it up. Okay. His pieces are way.
Yeah, I didn't bring those.
Those are under the bed with the university pieces. Okay, so then we have another oil, and this is completely different from the one with the statue. This is Black Canyon. Where is Black Canyon?
It is in Colorado, the Gunnison River, which runs into the Colorado River. And this canyon is so deep. I mean, if you've ever been to the Royal Gorge, it's 1,200 feet to the Royal Gorge.
Right.
This is 2,700 feet. So it's a deep, deep canyon. And that's just a small part of one little leg off of it. And I enjoyed the lights on that and trying to get the distance.
So did you paint this on site?
Part of it.
Is that
I had to come
plein
back
air? Is that okay?
Plein air.
Okay.
Yes.
I remembered an art after all this time. Surely I can remember.
Most of the time you don't paint that big outside.
Right.
You paint one that is a prep for a bigger one.
But you did this actual size one out there?
Part of it.
Okay. Very nice.
I was demonstrating and I had to, I didn't have much time, so I couldn't finish it. But I took it to the studio.
So you had students there watching you do that.
Right.
I bet that, I mean, as a student, I can only imagine how beneficial it would be to watch someone create from a blank canvas, and use the.
I tried all the time whenever I would teach to teach it to where the students didn't look like what I do. They'll develop their own style, their own feel, their own life into the art. I've seen so many teachers that teach workshop and all the students come out doing exactly the same thing.
Right.
That I don't think that's the right approach to teaching.
Mhm.
Because you want to teach so that down the line, they will become even better than you are.
Right.
That's the goal.
That's
It always bothered me whenever a teacher would say, I taught them everything they know, but I didn't teach them everything I know. I don't like that. I want to teach them everything that I possibly can and make them even better than me if it, if they can want to work at it.
Right.
And I have several students that came out, did excellent work. And so that was a good challenge as well.
Oh, I bet. Well, I'm gonna move so we can see this next one. This looks like an interesting.
This
Is
old
it-
wagon was in my yard.
Okay.
And that snow just, the trees were covered and some were falling off the limbs and everything. So it became real rough.
Mhm.
But in that dramatic light
Mhm.
that came across that I love,
Mhm.
just the feel and the shadows and everything, trying to get the snow, that was a real challenge too. I loved it.
Right.
And I think this one came out pretty much like I wanted.
Right. It's great. And like you say, the light is just very, it really catches you, but you just sense the cold winter, dark kind of day,
Yeah. That's what I was trying to achieve, and I felt good about this one. It was really fun. I haven't painted, I painted several snow scenes, but not that many because it's Oklahoma. We don't get that much.
Right, exactly. But this was in Oklahoma.
That's in my yard.
This was a rare day
Yeah.
in Oklahoma. You were lucky to catch that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I really want. I'm excited to get to this one right here. Because especially comparing that one to this one.
Right.
The detail, I can almost smell the dust kicking up in this one. Everything is just in the foreground, the guy back there, he's not as much detail and everything.
He's back in
the
low
dark
light.
of the barn.
It's just reflected light is all he's got.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us about this one. This is a fantastic piece.
This painting, it took me about 6 weeks to do this one. Painting I would spend as much time back sitting in my chair thinking about it, planning it. Where am I going?
Is it oil?
No, it's watercolor.
Okay. The watercolor, right.
I like to study my paintings and see them, and I like to after I've gone somewhere and come back in the room, the first impression that I say, well, what do you see? And what really stands out? Is it what you want to stand out? Is it your center of interest? And the negative space is there to enhance the positive space.
Right.
And you have to keep it in its place.
Right.
And the distance and the attention to, there's a door over there. But
the light's not hitting that
door. No, and this one is in the sunlight. And so it's got interest there, and it makes the rest of the lights tell you it's moving over there. Now, the dust was a real challenge. Because it's so soft, and I just had to keep working layer over layer, very lightly, very sensitive. And when you put down the watercolor brush strokes, it has almost a shine to the paint. Well, dust doesn't shine.
Right.
And so I painted over and over and over with the thinnest coats of paint to get that softness and that distance and put that dust just where it needed to be. I've had real painters that are very well painted that come and tell me, said, you can't do that dust in watercolor. I said, all right, that's just what I wanted.
Right.
But this painting was accepted in the American Watercolor Society show in New York.
Oh, wow.
And so it went up there and stayed and traveled around in a traveling exhibit. And so I was real pleased about that. That was a feather in my cap.
Absolutely. Yes.
We're claiming this one. we're not gonna sell it.
Oh, right, I wouldn't either. I did notice that you have a print.
Yes,
Of
I do
it.
sell prints
Uh-huh.
of this one.
I saw that upstairs
And,
because I walked by and I thought, wait a minute, I
Yeah,
think
so
we just
what?
put that one on the wall down there.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this piece is just, I mean, you can just really get lost in it, I think. And
yeah,
just the
it was
experience.
challenging. It was funny. My dad used to work teams. And I'd let him see whenever I'd work, paint a team that had the harness and everything,
Mhm.
And I would go over and show him, and he would say, you got this in the wrong spot. Because if you're working the horses, it has to be in a certain position.
Ah,
And if you are just working, taking them to town or something like that, well, then the harness has to be hooked in a different spot. And so he would correct me on.
Well, what great information to know that. So was this a photograph?
Yes,
Or-
I had worked from photographs because, they're
Right, no,
really,
you can't catch that,
No,
in,
you have to work from some information. You can't remember all that.
right,
There's no way.
right.
And so you work that way, and it just the reason that the dust is there because he's backing the wagon into the barn,
Okay,
and
I see his
the
arms are
horses,
full.
they can't see where they're going. They got
Uh-huh.
blinders on, and so they stomp their feet. And you're afraid they're gonna hit something, so they
Right.
kick those feet back there. And so that's why they were kicking up dust.
Wow,
And so I just love the whole idea of, working team, and I always painted, people that of the earth.
right, right, yeah.
And so I was very pleased with this one. And like I say,
Well, it
I'd
sounds
be able to
like.
buy a pickup if I sold that one.
Well,
Brand new.
right, well, I mean, what you shared with us tells us that you are not the only one who was pleased with this watercolor. I mean, obviously it was acknowledged that this was a great work, so congratulations on that. I mean,
Well,
what a
thank you.
great thing. Especially whenever, one of your favorites and other
Oh,
people
yeah.
see
Yeah.
how great it was. So that's awesome. Well, let's move around here. Give Scott a chance to zoom in on this piece. I love this. This looks like driving around the country. Finding these
Right,
old
right.
barns.
That's exactly what happened. It's serendipity.
Right.
The treasures you find along the way.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I love barns. I painted so many barns, it's unreal. And it just had so many facets, and the lights and the darks and all of the things that happened back in, and the shadows and the
Colors of sheet metal up on top
yeah,
of it.
exactly. You get truer color in the shadows than you do in the light, because the light blushes things out a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And so your richness of color is more in the shadows. And the only light it gets is what's reflecting back onto it.
Right.
And so that was fun. And the cast shadow is darker than the item that casts the shadow.
Oh.
And it's learning how to the edge of the shadow here.
Uh-huh.
It gets lighter as it goes back in there. It's not the
Right.
same all the way across.
Right.
So you have to use a transitional value
Uh-huh.
to get that light the way it should be.
Right.
And it's always darker next to the light
Uh-huh.
and lighter next to the dark.
Interesting. I love this. This is very
Yeah.
educational for me.
We have to learn how to see.
Mhm.
That's what artists, that's what it's all about. And then telling people what you see,
Right.
And so you work, all of these different things you observe and find out
Mhm.
all through all the years of painting. And so it's really fun,
Mhm.
to get one that makes it, that
Right.
you're proud of, and you say it's finished.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can walk away.
Yeah. That I love that one. I mean, it's just the feeder over there, the hay feeder,
So,
that's over there on that side of,
Yeah.
man, and the pond with
Yeah.
all the moss grown up on it. They're just, so many familiar things with
Right.
this.
You know, the center of interest, of course, is the barn. But
Right.
all of those things help tell the story of the barn,
Mhm.
you know, and the fence, you know, it normally you want to leave a gate open
Mhm.
or you fence the people out. So it took a lot of attention off of the fence.
Right.
They want to go into, walk into this place.
Interesting. That's
And if
another.
you have a big fence across right in front and so on, and if it's real dominant, well, it's holding your people out, you know, they can't get in there.
This makes me want to go around and study our pieces that we have at the museum. Okay, so Kay, your wife,
My favorite one.
your favorite wife. That's he's getting a head shake, a hard head nod from her. She was really wanted you to share the story about this stove, and this is
It's watercolor.
Is it? Okay, it's a beautiful ornate stove for beginners.
This is in
But-
Colorado, Crested Butte, Colorado.
Okay.
And this was a demonstration. When we were up there and I had a whole class there. And we went in to where this was, and the old, it was a gas station plus grocery store and so on. A real old gentleman that ran it, and I asked him if I could paint in there. And oh yeah, Tony was cordial. And so I sat up there and I told my students, I said, now you can go out and paint in town, or you can stay and watch me. And I painted like 8 hours one day on it. And then went back the next day and painted about 5 hours on it. And this one gal, older student, wasn't old, I mean, she was just, you know, not student age.
Yeah.
She sat and watched me. She was really a good student. And she watched me, and we talked about it later. She said, I cried. You know, cried. I'm sorry. She's afraid I was messing it up or what.
Right, yeah.
She said, no, I was there with you. I saw where you were going. And it all worked and showed me so much about what I can do in my part. And so I was real pleased that somebody really got into it that much, that it affected him that much. And so that was fun too.
Oh, sure. Well, just that kind of feedback, and just to know that as a teacher, you are impacting one of your students to that degree, you know.
Well, you're affecting their life to some degree for the rest of their life.
Right.
You know, and they're gonna change. If they don't change, they shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, right.
And you have a few that have too much pride, that don't like critique, you know, and I tell them, I say, you know, be honest, let me tell you without you getting your feelings hurt, you know, because everybody thinks of it, this is me, you know. No, it's just something you did.
Yes.
And if you think you did everything perfect, well, I can't help you.
Right.
You know, it's beyond, because you have to be the one that wants to, you know. And I'd have a student every once in a while would bring a painting for me to critique. And this one gal I remember, I said that, well, you know, there's things in here, I don't know if I ought to tell you or not. She said, I want you to tell me everything. I want it all. So Lord, here we go. That is the height of learning.
Yes.
You know, and so we had a lot of fun at that. It just, she was really good student, so sharp. So, you know.
So I was thinking a while ago, and I got caught up in your story and forgot to ask you. So like this piece, did you sketch all this out prior to painting it? So you knew the door, you were going to put the door and the snowshoes and all those things.
You always draw where things are, not what they are.
Okay.
You know, you got to locate, you got to use your space. It's a composition, and you're composing as you're drawing, you know, and you don't start out with a little, you know, short lines and so on and tracing around this and so on. You get a general feel to where this has to be. It's got to be, you know, if this is the center, it's got to be the same on both sides. It's got, you know, there's just certain rules that you follow. And so you're laying out that composition, and then you This is a reverse thing. What I mean by that is warm colors advance, cool colors recede.
Okay.
I wanted to do this a reverse thing.
Uh-huh.
The cool colors are now advancing and the warm colors are receding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a trick. I mean, that's really a difficult thing to keep that consistent and keep that stuff back in there where it's supposed to be.
And not add something to it that suddenly makes
Yeah,
it
that jumps
get
out.
more attention.
It can't have the detail. It can't have, it has to be softer. Edges have to be soft and all of that. And so you get your detail, in the center of interest.
Right.
And the challenge is, well, does it look like chrome,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, cast iron?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, what it really is?
Right.
And so that was a fun painting
Wow,
to do.
that's what a great way to, I mean, I love that you explained it all to us like that. So we're gonna look at some other pieces. This is one of Kay's favorites, I believe, and listen, I agree with you. I walked on that wall over there where all of these types of colors are and just thought, oh my goodness, this is beautiful use of color.
Well, I wanted all those things in there. I have a collection of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we call them painters. We go to an antique shop and I see something that would be a great thing to paint.
Uh-huh.
And so we call it a painter, and then we buy it and take it home and set it up. And this one was, right from the subject, no photograph. And it was just drawing and building it out. And when you're laying out something, using your space, you want to fill it up. Well, where's the base going to sit? How much space do I need down here?
Mm-hmm.
And then how's it fit in there? And, everything is laid out compositionally. It came out pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
There's still things, yes, but I liked all of the interests, the reflections, and
Mm-hmm.
if you don't pay attention to
Even
all of
the
those,
little doily through
yeah,
the glass
reflecting in
bottle.
there, it's learning to see,
Mhm.
and the little highlights at the end.
Mhm.
People have a tendency to get those too big, and
Uh-huh.
it works better if they're just small.
Mhm.
And so it was a lot of fun.
And so is this oil?
Yes.
This one is
That's
oil. Okay. Okay, we're gonna switch out here. Darcy's gonna. There. And what is this? What media is this?
This is a gouache.
Gouache, Guache. Is that right? Okay.
Right, because I used some white with some opaque paint in it. Watercolor you don't use any opaque paint.
Okay.
It's a regular watercolor, you want just pure paint, no whites.
Uh-huh.
Well, this one had so many things in there, ribbons and all of that was having trouble getting what I wanted there.
Mhm.
Because the white of the paper wasn't white enough for some of the stuff.
Right.
And the ribbons and the reflections and so on, I got where I wanted to cut that out of ribbon and stick it on there. It was such a challenge.
Oh, I bet.
But it was a lot of fun, and it was a guy that was at a deal, what do you call
A
it?
powwow
No, well,
or an
it was
exhibition?
exhibition for kids in school.
Oh, okay, right.
He was dancing and showing off, and I just thought that was a great subject.
Right, so was he someone that you knew?
I think I know him
Uh-huh.
because we have several Indians in our town and friends and so on, and I think he was the son of somebody I
Uh-huh.
knew real well.
Right, so was this a photograph?
Yes, I used photographs on that because he was dancing.
Sure.
Yeah.
The colors are just very vibrant. And I think it would have been, I can't imagine, I mean, you're the artist, you would be, if anyone could do this, but like you were saying, leaving the white would just be a lot. Yes, okay. All right.
Protecting them.
Yeah, okay, let me come over here to this side.
Okay.
And we will move him. heavy, that's heavier than.
I don't know if you can see this one well or not. This was a demonstration in school, and this is called Silver Point.
Do we need to move her a little bit to get the lights on her, or is it, can you see it okay?
It's
Okay.
difficult to see because it's sensitive. You're drawing actually with silver.
Really?
Yeah, you just sharpen a wire of silver and start drawing. Well, you can't get very dark in it. This is as dark as you can get.
What is is it a canvas
No, it's paper.
on
Yeah.
paper?
It's a rougher, it has a more of a texture
Uh-huh.
to it. It's,
So it's a certain
yeah.
grade or whatever of
right,
paper?
right.
And it's a silver wire?
Silver wire, yes. And it's a really fun way to work, but it's a challenge because it's a transparent thing, just like watercolor. And so you got to be real careful on how you handle all of the shadows and the movement, the transitions that it takes to get rounded form. To get anything rounded form, it's done with shading. It's done with values. There's no other way.
Right.
You get the values established, the shadow area and so on, and the lights and everything. You can't create form without values. It just won't work.
Right, because like the nose has like a
Sure.
a curve like
Yeah,
out
you
like
can't
this,
make it-
right? But
right,
it would look flat
Right.
without,
It has perspective in it.
right.
Everything needs to be in its place. You don't want, the wrong thing moving forward. And so it's a real sensitive way to work. And over time, the silver will have a tendency to tarnish and start to take on a little bit of amber color. And
Right.
it's just great to see that happen, but it takes years and years and years.
Wow. I've never even heard of this medium before. It makes me want to stare at it even more now that I know that it's not like a pencil.
I was pleased with how it came out. She was up there modeling and I did it from real life.
Oh, okay.
And so
Oh,
she was a beautiful gal.
it is lovely. So your pieces are like matted and framed, just so well. Do you hire this out? Do you have a framer that you use?
I have done always. I
All
have
different
made
ways.
some of my frames.
Well, I asked your wife earlier if you had made
The
some of
rougher
them.
ones, the distressed frames, I did all of those.
The one on the horses, the team of horses?
Yes.
Okay,
And,
I love that frame. I think
Yeah, that
it
one
is
came
the
out real
perfect
good.
frame for
Right.
that.
Yeah. Generally, what you do is in watercolor, most of the time, you want to mat it because the paper shouldn't touch the glass.
Okay.
And that's called foxing.
Uh-huh.
And so it needs to stay away. And anything on paper, you got to put glass over.
Okay.
So,
But canvas could.
yeah, it's got, in painting, oil painting, paint has its own varnish to it. The linseed oil turns into a varnish when it's dry. And so you don't have to put anything on top of it. You can, you have to do everything in the right procedure,
Right.
Okay,
yeah, I'm seriously, I'm having an art class right now. This is like, I am learning so much. Wow. Okay, all right, yeah, so this is the last piece that we're going to show you. Now, again, you can come here to the Chisholm Trail Arts Council and see the works that we've shown you, plus others. And so tell us about this fella.
Henry was my neighbor
Okay.
growing up, lived up on the hill just a little ways from us. And I went over to take a bunch of photographs of him. And he said, let me go in and get my hat. I said, no, Henry, I want that hat.
Yeah.
Don't get your Sunday hat. I don't want you working. He was just, a little bitty German guy. And he was a great guy. He really was. He dug graves by hand until he was 80 years old.
Wow.
You know, he would just go out every time needed. Why he would, but this watercolor, I wanted to get, you know, everything just right. The shirt, that's a flannel type shirt. Like I said before, watercolor, when you put it down, it's kind of got a shine to it. Well, flannel does not shine.
Right.
You know, and the more you paint over layers of color in watercolor, it becomes flatter. It doesn't have that shine, dulls it down. Well, that's what I wanted in here. These squares, most of it now I had to protect these whites of the little bitty stripes in there, the white stripes. And so I had to, all of these squares, most all of them were painted over 7 times. Wow. At least to get that effect. Wow. And time wise, it I counted the time, the ear, I spent 4 hours just on the ear. And the thumb, another 4 hours. You know, to get it to look like a thumb. Right. You know, and an ear. Just stay in the right position to bring the thing forward. And you know, pushing all of the things back in there, the cast shadow with softer edges, and the lighting behind him help bring in, help control that light to bring it where I wanted it to go. I was real pleased with this one because.
And did you take these photographs? You said you took photographs to.
Yeah, I had one.
Listen, I'll be honest, you were talking earlier, like he is the subject, and I didn't even see the shadow until you said something about it. I was just so taken with him.
Yeah, I didn't want you to see the shadow. It's just proof that the light is. Right. The shadow is always a proof of the light. And so it, you know, I spent lots and lots of time on it. And so the old dirty hat.
Oh yeah, with the sweat.
Paint on it.
The sweat around there.
Yeah, oh yeah. That was fun.
Kristen Hill is watching. She said, I love your artwork and stories. Thank you for sharing with us.
Oh, great.
And Kristen's daughter, Elena, was on Trail Talk last week. She's a pianist, but she's also an artist. She's
wow.
But anyway, thank you, Kristen, for the comment. We appreciate that. Well, Mr. Henry, right?
Henry Seymour.
Henry Seymour.
Right.
Okay. And I think Darcy mentioned that some of his relatives are very excited to come and see this piece and to meet you. So Darcy, why don't you hop on here for a minute? Mr. Hollis Howard, Mr. Howard, I keep wanting to say that, just a habit of mine to call people Mr. Who or Miss whoever.
Come on over, I can see him.
There you go.
I can see over.
So he's here through the end of the month, but a week from today, right, there's another special event that he's going to be doing. So you guys tell us about that.
Hollis has been gracious enough to really kind of come out and support our art gallery, and he's coming next Thursday on February the 11th to kind of meet the artist with some of our patrons and people who have signed up.
What time?
It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. So don't be late. And
now I know.
Yeah,
Put it on your calendar.
Yeah, 6:30 next Thursday, and it'll be right here in our SeaTac Art Gallery. And it's just going to be kind of a casual conversation, just like what we're having right now, but one-on-one with some of these people who want to know a little bit more about maybe his styles, his techniques, and he's even offering an opportunity for them to bring their own personal artwork for an artist critique. So, I mean, you can't really beat that. I mean, really to get some valuable information and honest input. Yes. I'm not going to enter anything. Come on,
Darcy, come on.
I'm the doodler, so, anyways, if you do want to come and if you're interested in participating, we have our website, chisholmtrailartscouncil.com. It's under the calendar events.
Okay.
And there's a registration form there, and I can give you guys that link as well.
Right. Yes. We'll put that in the comment section also. Wow. That's what an opportunity for local artists. Exactly. To come and learn from, man, this guy is a wealth of knowledge.
I'm sitting here just listening to him today, and I love it. So
I know, me too. I'm just this has been such a great episode. I almost feel like I could paint something.
yeah, I'm honest with myself.
If I
but-
could take it from here to there,
Right,
you know,
exactly.
whenever he was saying, you know, you explain it, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you mean with paint, and I don't know that I can explain it with paint.
He does a great job.
Right, this has been a lot of fun. How I hope you've enjoyed.
I have
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's just been great.
I love to critique,
Uh-huh.
and, you know, if people are, I'll try not to bleed them too much.
He'll take your feelings
I'll be-
into consideration.
I'll be honest, you know,
Right.
if they are, you know, don't get their feelings hurt too bad, bring a piece, and I'll show you
Yeah.
some things that could possibly be better, or brag on what you've done there. You know, and so, yes, I love to do that. I always did it, you know, for my students, just all the time. And
Let me interrupt you for a second. I had thought, you have 2 daughters.
yes,
Do they dabble with art?
not a bit.
I wonder, you think they were afraid of his critiquing?
They might have been.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know how you can never do things with your kids that you can do with other people, you know, they never, but I was wondering if your daughters had any interest in
No.
anything like that.
Not really. My wife tried one
Uh-huh.
time. It's so funny. I love to make fun of her, you know.
She's here, so she's long ride home, maybe, I don't know.
I had to lay out this little old-fashioned house, and it had a porch out on it that you could see through, you know. And I told her, now here's your sky area, you know, you put that in there, and she put all the sky in, but she didn't paint in between the porch post and the house.
Whoops.
Pretty good for me.
So she is a master at piano. She
Ah,
taught piano for so many years, and great teacher.
wow.
I mean, she just had people standing in line,
Uh-huh.
literally, to take a piano from her. And so we covered 2 sections of.
Well, there
art.
you go. Wow. And how great. Oh, hey, Suzanne, how are you? Glad you could join us today too. So you guys really just kind of helped bring the arts up over there in Fletcher, right?
Sterling,
In
Sterling, also, that's where
It
we
must-
live now.
Oh, okay, in Sterling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you, Sterling. You guys, I mean, what a great benefit. Well, you know, this has been super fun, and, you know, be watching Trail Talk viewers, because we may have Hollis join us for some other things in the future. So
Right.
keep your eyes peeled for
Awesome.
that. Yeah. And come on down to the Arts Council and see his pieces, or next Thursday, bring
Yeah.
something you've done, and
Yeah.
let him give you an honest critique of it. It's going to do nothing but make you better. It'll
Yep,
make you
all the
better at what
artwork's
you
gonna
do.
be here until February 25th.
Okay.
I'm a 1 staff person, so if you feel like you need to call ahead, if you're coming from out of town, please do. Our number again is 580-252-4160. It's in the comments as well. And if there's a time that you think you might need to come on the weekend, I'll be happy to make arrangements and try to be here. So I'm just proud of everything that you've done for us. I'm proud of all the work. I know your wife is proud, and there's been so many people that have commented on some of our Facebook posts as well on a lot of the memories, especially Henry, the elf that we've shown, and the lighting, and just everything. So we're really excited. I always hate to see an exhibit end, because then that goes back to empty walls. Just another quick plug, we have Youth Art Month. You guys have Youth Art Month. So that'll be coming up, and then our next exhibit for our 2 artists will be in April, so April and May. So
Awesome.
that's what
You
we
guys
have.
follow CTAC on Facebook, or look at their webpage, because they've got a lot of interesting information.
Yeah.
Well, so when Trail Talk is over, we like to say happy trails together. And our friends who are watching, you guys know, Suzanne, Stefan, you guys unmute yourselves so you can say happy trails with us, okay? Stefan, oh, maybe, can we unmute Suzanne? No, come on, Sue, there you go. Okay, so on 3, let's say happy trails, okay? 1, 2, 3. Happy
Happy
trails!
trails!
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.